Author Advantage, making your book shine, the 3 steps in book editing. Duplicate yourself, use a book to network. And our new release review, Life, don't miss it. I almost did. How I Learned to Live Life to the Fullest by Gary Kunin. Making your book shine, the 3 steps in book editing. One of the most common questions I get in publishing is, Adam, what do I do once my book's written? Help me understand how all of that works. Well, this segment of Author Advantage is going to show you just that. I'm going to go through the 3 steps, the 3 lives that you will go through when you are working with a publisher and an editorial team to build your book. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something that we call the developmental edit. And the developmental edit is the structure and organization of a manuscript. It's that editing process where things are still pretty rough. And the point is to create a solid, rough draft. Now remember, in the developmental edit, things are very rough, and it's really just the first draft. But it puts things into proper order. Now, not every author is going to need a developmental edit. In fact, if you've written a pretty good book that's clean and without need of substantial changes, you might go straight to the line editing phase, which we're going to talk about right now. A line edit. That's your stylistic, mechanical, and thematic problem edit. That's where anything that's incoherent or not germane to the manuscript is going to be removed. The narrative arc, the narrative arc, that's a fancy word that we publishers like to use, but the narrative arc of the manuscript is also polished in the line edit. And issues that involve voice and language are addressed to bring shine to the manuscript. You're one step closer once the line edit's complete. Now, something you should know about the line edit is that there aren't many publishers anymore that will provide it. Advantage is just one of those few companies that still do. So no matter who you're working with or if you're doing it yourself, make sure that you ask somebody to help you with a line edit. It's a timeless art that's tended to fade in the world that we live in today. The third form of editing is copy editing, and that's probably the one that you're most familiar with. In this form of editing, we're looking for technical issues like spelling, punctuation, grammar, terminology, and issues that are involved in style. This is the micro-editing piece of the book, and this is where it's polished before it goes to that final step. I know I said 3, but there's a bonus for you. There's one more, and that's proofing and corrections. A bonus step, but a must. It's important for you, the author, and your publisher to proof the book one last time. Now, before we end on editing, I should mention one thing. There are few books that I've ever seen that are perfect. In fact, I was reading a book just last week that was published, get this, in 1932. The book has since gone through 17 printings. And the publisher, who I'll let remain unnamed, is one of the largest trade publishers in the world. When I read the book, I couldn't help myself. I circled 7 typos throughout the book. The book sold over 2 million copies over the last 70 plus years. And even at that, with the 2 million viewers and readers, with the editors that have come and gone, there are still a typo or 2. So here's the point. You as the author need to set expectations for yourself appropriately. It's very tough to find a perfect book. And I can almost assure you that no matter who you work with, whether it's the biggest of big publishers or the smallest of small publishers, or if you do it all on your own, your next door neighbor will take pride in running up to you after they get a copy of your book to point out to you all of the mistakes they may have found. While the goal in working with editors is to make it perfect, perfection is very hard to do. especially when there's 40, 50, 60, 70,000 opportunities for there to be a tiny error. And it could be something as small as the possession tense, or the choice of words, or a period or a comma here or there. So just remember, working with editors can be a real joy. They can help you polish and shape your manuscript to really bring it to life. But few, if any, processes in life are perfect, and editing is one of those that is imperfect as well. Duplicate yourself. Use a book to network. One of my favorite quotes in the world is from Henry Ford, the Baron and father of Ford Motor Company. He said, "Take away all of my money, take away all of my assets. Give me only my Rolodex, and in a year's time I will be a millionaire again." I love that quote because it tells us that it's so important as to who we know. In fact, the ability to grow a business and to create wealth is largely based on who we know, not what we know. Your book creates visibility for you, and being visible makes you known to others. Now, I argue that it's not just who you know, but perhaps more importantly, who knows you? So mail your book to thought leaders and centers of influence. Send a box of your books to referral partners and to your best customers. Put books on office coffee tables. One of our authors, who's a lawyer, goes to other attorneys' offices that he's friends with, and he'll leave a copy of his book on the coffee table in the waiting room. And interestingly, he gets a number of referrals every single year from that tactic. Refer to and feature other people in your book. Just a couple of the easy ways that you can use your book as the ultimate networking tool, and in a sense, clone yourself to be in more places at the same time. Our new release review for this week's episode, Life. Don't miss it. I almost did. How I Learned to Live Life to the Fullest by Gary Kuneth. Now, this book's awfully special to me. I've personally known the author for 12 years, and he's one of the most engaging speakers and thought leaders that I have ever witnessed. And I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of some of the best speakers in the world. Whenever Gary speaks, I take a lot of notes. I promise you. Gary's pioneered this concept called life worth. And maybe he didn't invent the concept, but he sure has brought it to life. Gary starts in the book telling a story. And the story is that of the CEO of a Fortune 500 company that he was personally friends with. And the CEO was having his retirement party. There were about 400 people gathered around, and he was getting ready to espouse his wisdom upon them, all eager to soak it up. Many of them jockeying to ultimately get to the CEO suite at some point in their career. And the CEO shared the story that just a month or two before, his daughter had gotten married. And as they were walking down the aisle, he realized that he didn't know his daughter's favorite color. He didn't know the names of his daughter's best friends. There were a lot of important details about his child that he didn't know. And as he was giving his retirement speech and patting himself on the back for the wonderful achievements that his company had made, he said to the people in the audience, "If you too want to sit in this chair, you will have to make sacrifices, and those are just some of the sacrifices." Well, Gary is the first to tell you that that is complete and utter bunk. Yes, we all make sacrifices and choices in life, but if you want joy and if you want contentment in your life, it's possible. But most people just don't know how to get it. Some people don't even know that they need it. This book shares the secrets of how to get and keep life worth at any age. Gary himself, who was a sales trainer for Fortune 500 companies, and then a CEO of a very large company himself, a company that he started, almost lost life worth. But soon enough, quickly enough, he realized that there was more to life than work. And there's a way that you can have a great life, a great family, and a great business all at the same time. This book's an absolute keeper. I recommend it. And I hope you'll run out to the bookstore or go to Amazon and get a copy of it today.